I didn't test the mics beforehand. I think this is it. Yeah? Hello? Can you hear this now? This is, okay, good. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to ask you, those of you that would like to move a little bit further up towards the front, we would like to have more of a presence in a more intimate manner, and then the latecomers can sit in the back. But those of you that were here beforehand, please come closer. Thank you. So I want to first thank you all for coming today. We are very, very delighted to host this lecture as part of our ERC-funded project called Past and Present Musical Encounters Across the Strait of Gibraltar, which is based at the Faculty of Music here at the University of Cambridge. And it's a project that is a 5-year project, which is looking at all sorts of aspects of the encounters in colonial and post-colonial musical spaces and encounters in the Maghreb, Spain, and even in France. So what we're looking at in the project is actually how through music, musicians, audiences, governments, and NGOs are also dealing with the issue of diversity and with the issue of integration of diversities and of showing different voices, and how then does public policy come from this? How do the minorities themselves use this? How does it show up musically? And are there elements from the colonial past and the patterns that were set during colonialism that are still present today? And what can we learn from that? Which parts do we keep, and what can we propose for changes? So the principal investigator is Matthew Machin-Autenrieth, who works on flamenco and flamenco Andalusi and the music of Andalusian fusions with flamenco. We have also a senior research associate that's based in Manchester at the University of Manchester, who's a historian, and he works on Spain and France in colonial and post-colonial times, and in Morocco. We have Steve Wilford, who's a research associate working on Algeria and the Algerian diaspora in France and in London. And myself that works on the Jewish voice in Morocco and Spain. And we have a PhD candidate working on jazz and the function of jazz workshops in the integration of minorities. So you see, we're really trying to look at it from all sorts of different angles, and in this work together come up with a larger transnational history of this music and this area. So in the context of that, the most perfect guest, really, for us is His Excellency, Mr. André Azoulay, who has worked on music festivals, who has had the vision for so many years of using music to this very purpose and for this very dialogue. I want to make sure that I give you at least a large and detailed element of his biography. He was born in Essaouira, Morocco, and educated in Paris, where he studied economics, journalism, and international relations. And before he was the counselor to His Majesty the King of Morocco, he was the counselor to the previous king, Hassan II, and now he's the counselor to the current king, His Majesty Mohammed VI. He was actually executive vice president of Paribas Bank in Paris until 1990, so from 1968, so he will talk, I think, some about this experience of being also a Moroccan in Paris at that time, and how he was already working on cultural aspects. So he has actually worked on the economics of the development of Morocco and on the political aspect. But one of the interesting things is that he's worked on many initiatives that have to do with the perspective of deepening the reconciliation between Jews and Muslims. And he has talked with Jewish and Muslim communities throughout the United States, Europe, Morocco, the Arab world, and Jewish diasporas. He's actually the founder of a group called the Aladdin Group that is for teaching about the Holocaust education in the Arab world, and they have a series of publications. He's the president of the Foundation of Three Cultures and Three Religions, which is based in Seville. And also, he is a member of a group of the United Nations, which is called the High-Level Group for the Alliance of Civilization. And in this context, he was elected the president of the Euro-Mediterranean Anna Lindh Foundation. So, as you see, he has this very large international base of work on this. And then in his native Essaouira, he started 14 music festivals of all sorts of different kinds of music, which he will discuss, which has to do with the redevelopment of the city, but really an influx of people from all of the regions of Morocco, internationally, and as well a space for a different kind of dialogue that is really, I've experienced it. I've been going there since 2007, and there's a special magic to what happens in these festivals in Essaouira that he will speak about. So just recently, less than a month ago, His Majesty Mohammed VI came to do the inauguration of a historic center that Mr. Azoulay spearheaded the remodeling of, called Bet Dakira, the House of Memory, which was a synagogue in Essaouira. And together with it, there is a museum space and a space for research, a new research center that's been inaugurated. So we want to show you, just to start, before he begins his speech, 5 minutes of this video, which will show you the relationship that Morocco has to its Jewish history currently, and the relationship of the book, the rabbis, and the music.
الحضارية التي ركبته عبر العصور وأيضا بعدها الروحي تعتبر نموذجا متفردا في سمو قيم الانفتاح والتعايش بين المسلمين واليهود والمسيحيين، مما أضفى على المدينة صبغة الكونية. وبمدخل بيت الذاكرة تقدم للسلام على أمير المؤمنين السيد أندري أزولاي مستشار جلالة الملك، الرئيس المؤسس لجمعية الصويرة موغادور، وأعضاء اللجنة العلمية لبيت الذاكرة، وأعضاء مكتب جمعية الصويرة موغادور، والمهندسين المكلفين بعمليات ترميم هذا المشروع، والحاخام الأكبر للمغرب السيد جوزيف إسرائيل، والحاخام السيد دافيد بنتو. وبفضل ما اتسمت به من قيم الانفتاح والتسامح والسلام التي تشكل الأساس الذي ترتكز عليها المدينة العريقة، أصبحت الصويرة قلعة محصنة لتقدم عبر قرون من التاريخ المثال على مغرب السلم والتسامح والحرية وإشاعة القيم الإنسانية. وتعكس زيارة صاحب الجلالة لبيت الذاكرة بمدينة الصويرة العناية الخاصة التي يوليها أمير المؤمنين للموروث الثقافي للطائفة اليهودية المغربية. وتقع هذه المعلمة الرائعة بدرب العش، وتجسد هندسة المكان وزخرفته وبساطته معطيات حول التراث الصويري اليهودي الخالص والضارب في تاريخ الشعوب والأمم. وبهذه المناسبة بالمناسبة أدى الفنان ميشيل أبيتان أغاني دينية، كما ألقى الحاخام الأكبر للمغرب السيد جوزيف إسرائيل كلمات المباركة التقليدية التي تتلوها الطائفة اليهودية للتضرع لله عز وجل.
زي الشعر لا دوناي صديقي مياب أبو دي خاكي عني تاني وديلي لي شعاع ودي خاكي عني تاني وديلي لي شعاع ברוך הבא בשם אדוני, ברכנוכם מבית אדוני, אל אדוני ויער לך, יסרו חג בחמותים עד קרנות המזבח, אלי אתה ועודך, אלוהי ארוממך, הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם, הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו.
Bénédiction pour Sa Majesté Mohammed VI, roi du Maroc. הנותן תשועה למלכים וממשלה לנסיכים ומלכותו מלכות כל עולמים, הפוצה את דוד עבדו מחרב רעה, הנותן בים דרך ומים עזים נתיבה, הוא יברך וישמור וינצור ויעזור וירומם, ויגדל וינשא למעלה למעלה לאדוננו המלך שולטן מוחמד השישי, ירום הודו מלך מדינת מרום, מלך מלכי המלכים ברחמה ישמעו וחיו, מלך מקוצר ונתגד צילהו, מלך מלכי המלכים ברחמה וירום, יגביה כוכב מערתו, יאריך ימים על ממלכתו, מלך מלכי המלכים ברחמיו, ייתן בליבו בלב כל ירעצה ושרה ורחמנות, לעשות עמנו עם כל אחינו בימיו ובימינו שבשע יהודה, שכון לביתה ובא לציון, וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן.
نعم سيدي، الله يبارك عند سيدي.
الله يبارك عند سيدي.
Permettez, Majesté, à votre fidèle serviteur.
إثر ذلك ألقى السيد أندري أزولاي مستشار جلالة الملك.
So with no further ado, I'm very happy to introduce Mr. André Azoulay here to Cambridge. Thank you for coming.
I have seen this video, I don't know, many times, but it's every time so moving and so exceptional. And just keep in mind the fact that what you have seen for a few minutes was in Islam, in a Muslim country, with my fellow Muslim compatriots. It was in the Arab world, and it was just less than 3 weeks ago. Just for you to keep in mind the fact that this kind of very special chemistry, spirit, school, Moroccan school, is something which, unfortunately, is not what you are looking on or watching or reading in your newspaper and watching on your TV, listening in your radio. in the daily life. But it do exist. It exists, and it's not cosmetic. It's not a posture. It's something which reflects, I don't know how many 100 years of history. As I said yesterday in London, I think it was you, Vanessa, who tells that I'm usually introducing myself by saying I'm just 3,000 years old. As a Jewish person, Moroccan Jewish person, just to try to remind my friends and the audiences where I'm usually addressing that Judaism in Morocco was close to 1,000 years, arrived 1,000 years before Islam. So for those who are not, convinced or who are just skeptical or saying, how could you, as a Jewish person, being the advisor of the commander of the Islamic faith, I have no problem. I feel totally relaxed. I am at home for such a long time with Islam, more recently, but with all my friends, my Moroccan friends. I belong to this very rich and very deeply rooted diversity of my country. I can tell, being Jewish, that I'm also an Arab, I'm a Berber. And in the Sahara I can say also maybe I'm a Phoenician or a Roman, because there were so many civilizations who have been for centuries in my hometown. So first of all, I want to tell my very, very deep gratitude to you, Vanessa, to you, Ruth, to you, to all the organizers who are giving me the chance this evening to share with you what I feel, what I have tried to partly achieve, and what was my life challenge for giving a chance, the best chance possible to my country, and for giving also, as a return to my hometown, Essaouira, a chance for a better life. And then I will start with that. I'm not a professional, I'm not an academic, I'm not a professor. I'm in Cambridge, it's not easy. But I want just to be in a very didactic, pedagogic approach to share with you this long travel all along my life. And I will start with one of the challenge I'm trying to be I'm confronted to it, but I'm trying to achieve, which is to build or to rebuild something different between Islam and Judaism, to refound trust, and to try to keep alive what was for centuries achieved in Essaouira, in Mogador. I'm saying Mogador, my hometown, because Essaouira, I was telling that to friends, usually in Islam, you have Muslim majorities in the cities. There is no place where in the Muslim world you have non-Muslim majority. And Mogador Essaouira was the only exception from Morocco to Indonesia in the 19th century and the early 20th century. Mogador was at this time, 19th century, the capital of the country for at least 35 or 40 years, Essaouira was with a Jewish majority. And I feel personally responsible just to tell this story because it expressed and it shows the art of possible. There were around 40 synagogues in this city at that time. Amazing. And we were at that time also very focused on the UK. And there are so many nice episodes at that time. I'm usually always referring to the Belisha beacons we have in the street all over the UK, but nobody knows that Belisha is the name of a Jewish family of Essaouira. And he was War and Defense Secretary in 1939 and 1940, in a very crucial, vital period in this part of the world. And there were so many Moroccan Jewish families from Essaouira who have been in the UK, especially in Manchester and London at that time. And we have a real history book between our two countries and between Essaouira and the UK. And that's why I feel a little at home here. But just for you to know that by now, Essaouira, which was, as I said, in the 19th century, for a very long time, the capital of the country, was experienced a very depressive period during the French mandate, the colonization, and also after we ended the colonization of France. But now, it's a very flourishing city, and it's a city which is, I can see, a flagship city for two things, for two main dossiers. The first one, creating a new paradigm between Islam and Judaism. And it's not just a rhetoric or a theory, it's in our daily life. And it's not only in my mind as a Moroccan Jewish person, but in the mind, in the large majority of my the other inhabitants of Essaouira, Muslims largely. And it's also a place, a city where Judaism is coming back. There is a very small Jewish community in Morocco, declining usually in many places, but Essaouira is the only place where it's growing. And it's not by accident. It's because we gave a chance to the people to know more, to be taught, to be part of this retaking over of the whole book of their history. You cannot change history. One day or another, it will tell you or remind you the truth. And the second goal I want to discuss with you is the central key role of music and culture who have been prior for the renaissance of the city. So I start by Judaism and Islam. First of all, we have made Essaouira as an open city to all. We do accept and agree the diversity of our opinion, the viewpoints of all. We are not just saying everything is okay for all. No, we have challenges, and to face those challenges, we will just tell the reality. We will not avoid any problem. We are just, as I said before, retaking over of our own history and memory, but as a Jews or as a Muslims, we Moroccan are part of the challenges who are unfortunately still so tragic in the Middle East. So we are just open to all viewpoints. And we started 30 years ago. And it created a different, let's say, way of being together even if we disagree. But in fact, and it is this Essaouira spirit or the Essaouira school, there are less and less people who disagree. It happens that we, because as I said before, we are so deeply rooted in this land of Morocco, and in Islam, the Arab culture, Arab solidarities, Arab way of life, that naturally we were fighting for a solution, not for war, not for confrontation. Nobody asked us to be an activist for peace, but we were activists for peace, obviously, because we want to be loyal and to be part of the way, it's my experience, the way I was educated by my rabbis, we have seen some, the way I was educated in my Jewish school in Essaouira. Maybe, I have been nursed and forged by all those values of dignity, justice, freedom. And the way I was educated was, you cannot be free, you cannot be eligible to dignity or freedom if the one who is in front of you is not eligible to the same quality of life. Same dignity, same justice, same freedom. And it happens, and it's obvious, that by our time, by my time, the one I have in front of me is Palestinian. So I want to remain free myself, to enjoy dignity, to enjoy justice. And to keep it alive, I have to help the one in front of me also to enjoy the same justice, the same dignity, the same freedom. And it's something that we discuss, very quietly, relax, and educating our children in the same way, with the same vision. But, the method and the gateway to that was not politics, unfortunately. We failed to use politics to just be coherent with ourselves. So, in 1991, I decided to try to experience a different approach by inviting culture, legacy, heritage, literature, cinema, music, in place of debating politics. Not only to build this kind of relation with my fellow Muslim compatriots, but to give a second chance to my city to rebound economically, humanly. But to make it short, because we don't have enough time to discuss the details, but when I started in 1991, there were 7 hotels in Essaouira. Now we have 527 hotels. And the city changed radically, thanks to music first. as Vanessa said, we have now more than 10 festivals a year. We started, but there is no free lunch. I mean, when we invite music, when we have a new festival, it's always with something which is more than emotion or than enjoying music. And we started with the Gnawa Festival, Gnawa World Music Festival. We are now at the 23rd edition. The Gnawa are this part of Morocco who are the Afro-Moroccans. They are usually black. They were, until the festival was created in Essaouira, they were stigmatized, ostracized. They were in the margin of the Moroccan society for many reasons. And we decided to create a festival for them, guided and inspired by the jazzmen, the most famous jazzmen who visited the Essaouira a long time ago. And the first records between the stars of jazz and the Gnawa Ma'almin was in the 70s. And I met some of them at that time, and they explained to me how this hajhouj, the gambri, the Gnawa guitar, if I may say bass, was really in the heart and of the blues. And so I kept it in mind, and with my very good friends, jazzmen or jazzwomen, we decided to have a festival. And people were very, especially in Morocco, were very skeptical, doubt. Well, having a big festival with the most marginal part of the Moroccan musical legacy or society, marginal in the Moroccan society, will not make it, will not do it, will not succeed. First edition, 40,000 people. Second one, 150,000. And we reached till 700,000 people attending this festival in a city of less than 100,000 people, could you imagine? And I remember the title, the front page of the New York Times, Essaouira, the Woodstock of the modern time. It was magic. It was so powerful that, I think that I said that yesterday, traveling from my professional agenda all over the world, people are very surprised, saying I'm from Essaouira, but I'm not black, I'm not a Gnawa. So it was so powerful. So just to balance, I decided to create a chamber music and opera festival. Same doubt, saying
facilitating
Mendelssohn,
this and also CRASSH
Brahms, Mahler
for co-hosting this conference with
cannot
us,
work
and
in the south of
the
Morocco.
ambassador of Morocco
It'll be
is
a big
present
fail.
with us, Abdeslam Abdelrad, and
It
thank
became,
you
now
so
we are
much for coming to Cambridge. We
at the
are,
17th,
so please come
at
downstairs.
the
We have a
20th
drinks
edition,
reception,
and it is one
all
of the
way
very
at the bottom,
famous,
and we
the
can continue
more
the discussion.
highly respected festival south of the Mediterranean. And then I created a third one. I will not review the 14th festival, but just a few words about one of the festivals which is very dear to my heart, and which is the only one of that kind in the world, Festival of des Andalousies Atlantiques. As it's obvious that, Andalusia or Andalusia is on the Mediterranean thing, but Essaouira, it's a semi-island on the Atlantic. What are you referring to, Andalusia? But Andalusia is not the soil you have and you are working on. It's your mindset, what you have in mind. And it is a festival where I decided to have on the stages only Muslim and Jewish musicians, singers, dancers. And it's fascinating. So powerful, so beautiful every year. Thousands of people attending. Just to tell you that thanks to music, there is a rendezvous on this earth every year where Jews and Muslims are coming by thousands from all over the world, enjoying just to be together first, performing music together, singing together. That is a music miracle. But it do exist. And I can tell you that really people who are coming, attending this festival, when the festival is finished, they leave Essaouira, but they are not the same. And every year, more and more people coming. And it is easy to understand. And we are not just creating something new. We are just continuing this, what we have experienced in our childhood, our parents the same, our grandparents the same. We have this kind of, we name it matrouz, which means broderie. And we have songs, music, songs, I may say, with text, alternating with part of it in Hebrew, part of it in Arabic, in the same song. And it reminds us that many Jewish singers were educated by the muezzin, and many Muslim singers were educated in terms of music by rabbis at the synagogue. One of the most famous singers we have by today for the Andalus classical music, Ala, in Morocco, his name is from Essaouira, his name is Abderrahim Souiri. His father was a muezzin, he was educated by a rabbi. And himself was also taught by a Moroccan Jewish person in Essaouira. So for me, it's a very, very rewarding, exciting experience. Unfortunately, there was no title for this festival in the New York Times. But we have tried to make it true. And not for one shot, on the long run, to make it durable. But, I see it every year really like a miracle. I said that how to give a chance to the country all around to know that it exists. I fail on that point because, could I imagine every year that if it was the contrary, having this kind of experience, but having Jews and Muslims, fighting, will be on the front page. But when they are in the same place for a week, by thousands, enjoying just being together, there is no place in the front page for that. So that's why, when I have the occasion, the opportunity, the chance to explain that it exists, I never miss this chance, this opportunity. And that's why I'm sorry to be a little longer on that point, because just for you to know that it is possible. And it is the art of possible. And it created a different paradigm in the country, but also far away. We have every year hundreds of Palestinians and Israelis coming to attend. And I remember that in one of our editions, a young Israeli singer from Moroccan origin, Netal Kayam, they push, she pushed the creativity or the, I don't know how to qualify it, to invite with her, it was not on the program, a Palestinian singer. And they performed together a song named Al-Qudsi. I think it's Ferouz who was singing in it, and then it was first time that it was experienced. Al-Qudsi, it's a song, an Arabic song, a Palestinian song, addressing the issue of Jerusalem. And this young Israeli singer, Neta El-Kayam, she decided, even if it was like a taboo, to perform it with a Palestinian on the stage, in a Sawira. Not because she agrees on all what this song is saying, but just to send this signal that why not to discuss it? Why not for me, as an Israeli, to listen to you and to sing with you? We'll discuss it later. And it was fascinating, fascinating. And the audience reacted very positively. I was amazed that thanks to music, we could just go as deeper and as risky position or approach, and people were just normal, even if they were not happy, maybe, I don't know, but they agree just to have it together and to see after what it's possible to do together. So, still a long way, but 30 years after, 29 years after I started, I can tell you that by this very difficult, very regressive time we are confronted to, all of us, time of denial, time of break of culture, religion, civilization, very, very, very archaic period. There is a place, there is a country where we are making stronger, deeper, durable, exactly the contrary. And when, in this video, when I started in my speech that Morocco is, I don't know, how do you name boussole en anglais? Compass? Yeah. Morocco and the Sawira are the compass we need by our time, just to tell us a chance to find a way. I'm not, and I will conclude on this point, I'm not telling you that it's easy every day. I'm not also trying to tell you that history between Islam and Judaism for such a long period, centuries, were always a happy story. There were problems, certain times, certain period, but at the end, the balance is so positive. I will never forget also to mention that during the Holocaust, and Vanessa was referring to what I'm trying to do, it was not just to teach Holocaust to my fellow Muslim compatriots, it's to send a wake-up call to the Western world, and especially to the Jewish world, in Israel and in diaspora, to remind them that when the Holocaust was in Europe, was in the Western world, the very rare, very few signal of the world community towards the Jews who were at the concentration camps, those signals came from Islam, came from the Arab world, and especially from my country. The King Mohammed, the late King Mohammed V, was the one who denied to the French occupiers, at that time it was a Vichy government, and the French representative came to him in the palace saying, we need the list of the Jews in your country to prepare the yellow stars for them. He said, I have no Jews, I have just Moroccan citizens, which happens to are being Muslim and Jews. But if you want to put yellow stars on their breast, start with the royal family. And they never came back to him. And he protected the Moroccan Jews, even during the French mandate and the law of the Vichy government. And so many European Jews who were fleeing from Germany and other countries were received in Morocco, and they survived thanks to Morocco. So we want also the Western world to know that, because this kind of story, the Mohammed V and the hundreds of families, Jewish families who were saved by Morocco. I mean, it's not in the history book, in the European universities or in the Jewish universities, even in the Moroccan universities. And we have created this group effectively to resist the denial of Holocaust in Islam, because there was some temptation to do it, and also to let the Western world know that Islam and the Arab countries, Arab individuals, Arab leaders, they have done their best, not only to protect and to save or to harbor Jews who were fleeing from Europe, but also, in the case of Morocco, they didn't agree to implement the law of the occupiers for discriminating or killing the Jews. So, as I said, it's a long way. Now we have to continue, not to give up, because it's still very difficult because of the situation in the Middle East. But this kind of little light, this art of possible, this wake-up call from Morocco and the Essaouira is something that at least we have to know, and why not to spread this message through music, through literature, through cinema, paintings, to keep it not only alive, but to make it larger, deeper, and stronger. Thank you.
So we'd like to open the floor to questions. And does somebody know about this microphone? Somebody can help
Maybe
me.
you
I
can
don't
use
see a
mine.
button.
Mine?
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you have light?
Yeah, we can get the light right here. There we go. Great.
Question?
I'm sorry, I think we're going to have to do it without the microphone.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'll speak as loudly as I can.
please.
Thank you ever so much for a wonderful presentation. It's really quite moving to hear the things you've been involved in, and this developing cross-community and interreligious relations in Essaouira and Morocco more generally. It's it's wonderful to hear. So thanks ever so much for a very interesting presentation. I was particularly struck about your discussion of in Essaouira, I think you said that there were 70 hotels originally. It's come up to 500 hotels and so on. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the links with tourism in the city in particular, and how this development in festivals that celebrate the 200 Lucias and that celebrate interfaith dialogue and so on, how that's linked to the tourism industry, if there's any sort of interconnect between them, and if you could just talk about
It's a huge impact.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started them, there were probably around 50,000 maximum tourists visiting the city every year. Now we are more than 1 million. And we have direct flights from London, for instance, to Essaouira, or from, 20 cities in Europe. So it changed completely, the size, the dynamic. But it's a different tourism than all around. Culture makes a difference. People are coming for something which is maybe not possible to experience in other places. And it's a kind of protection, because we were very careful not to spoil the heritage, the legacy, the spirit, the school of Essaouira, human school. Because if you grow, and if tourism is a key element of this growth, there is also danger, maybe there is a risk. But culture is, a kind of, a miracle, because it's very selective. And people who are coming to visit Essaouira, they know that they are coming to a place. It's not only for the beaches and the sun. You have the beach, you have the sun. But it's for more. And they know they have to respect the heritage, the legacy, the values. They know that before. And it works. So it shows that it is possible. But it's not this model which exists in the world tourism industry, which is a kind of mixed of exhibitionism of some and voyeurism of the others. The combination is very dangerous. It's a different model. But we are happy to receive more and more people, but with this kind of, vision and approach. Yes.
Thank you so much. The model you suggested here is very exciting, and I'd be curious to hear how musicians might prepare themselves to engage in this kind of work, in this kind of dialogue, we might say, and also how might people in the room who are music educators, I know there are a few of us here, prepare students to be able to do that kind of work.
That's maybe Vanessa, you can answer, or Ruth. But what I can tell you is that, we started a long time ago, now close to 30 years, and we never have a problem of finding musicians, bands, people to come. There are many, more and more, so it exists. And they are not prepared to, we didn't prepare them to that. We offered to contribute or to be part of this kind of festivals. But in fact, in all our festivals we have forums, we have debates, we have conferences. And we usually invite also musicians to express their views and to explain to the audience why and how, as a musician, they feel maybe stronger and maybe differently motivated to perform when there is this kind of magic rendezvous. Usually I said it in French, but c'est inviter la musique au grand banquet de la pensée. et ça fonctionne. I don't know, maybe one day it will be on the program of your university, and but I see, historically, you have so many examples of great musicians who were also engaged in this kind of challenge, human challenge, for the good, for the best. I never forget a conversation I have with Yehudi Menuhin. At that time we didn't have our chamber music festival, but he heard about the Gnawa festival. It's not his sensitivity, but he was so excited. He was so happy. I never forget my conversation with him, saying, go ahead, do more. As a musician, I feel so rewarded to know that music is helping, not only by giving a chance to the people who are in the audience to enjoy music, but to be also aware of all what we are confronted around and to help. I don't know, Ruth, if you want to.
Well, I'm thinking you're telling us so much about how music helps and how music benefits your project, but you haven't said enough, I think, about how you benefit the music projects. And I think I can really speak personally for that. About 18 months ago, ICTM, International Council for Traditional Music, our study group, was privileged to be hosted by André Azoulay's organization, the Association Astronomical. And, well, what can I say? The list is too long. First of all, we were oversubscribed to such a point that we had to turn away our members. We couldn't fit them in. So this is the first time this has ever happened. We've never had such an enthusiastic response. And the experience there was just different. It's not, I'm not saying that for just myself personally, but even yesterday in London at the conference, people were coming up to me saying, especially younger scholars, saying, this changed my career, this changed my direction, this, making changes.
Thank you.
And I don't think you heard enough of that. I think one of them...
No, but to tell you the truth, I feel...
there was something very special. And
yeah.
The other thing was the overlap with the Gnawa and having some of the Gnawa musicians and the performers that came into our concert.
Yeah.
And for Matthew's question about tourism, the overlap, what I noticed was that, yes, the town, it was actually very brave of us to hold our conference in June. With
yeah,
the Ghanaian
so many people, yeah.
We thought we would be in competition with the Gnawa.
Yeah.
But in fact, it was, I think there wasn't anybody there that wasn't there for the conference of the Gnawa. I mean, the whole town was still.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I really feel gifted to have been able to move forward in this direction. And I'm sure that after me, so many will do it. Yes?
Thank you so much for such a great presentation. So listening to you, we get a sense that music really affords that kind of dialogue and this kind of exchanges between people with different backgrounds and point of views. What do you think makes music as an art form different from other art forms in that sense, in your experience?
Yes, as I said, I mean, I have tried to cover or to call on different way, different form of, creativity, cultural creativity, cultural schools. But music was the most powerful. I mean, we have encounters on literature, on movies, on photography. We have an annual festival of photographers. It works also, but not at the same dimension. And maybe not with the same power. I mean, music for me, I mean, historically, we have seen that so many times, in all the times, all generations. There is no passport. There is no religion. There is no frontier for music. It's obvious. We have just to know it, and knowing it, to take over of this power and to use it for the good. To enjoy, emotion for music, but to use this emotion for the good. And it's possible. And it makes music bigger and better. Those who are not enjoying, I personally enjoy it so much. When I attend a concert, I'm different after. It's obvious. Thank you, Aida. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting. We're honoured to be in the audience and sharing in your memories and your history. I have a question, which is, society is made up of many different levels, many different depths. So to what extent would you say that the culture that you're bringing to Morocco affects all levels of society, or would you say it's got a lot of possibilities, a lot of distance to travel to all the different peoples in Morocco?
No, I think, it's a good question. I thank you. I have, I have received letters or questions saying that what I am trying to explain is elite. For instance, people, I said, no, not at all. It's top-down and bottom-up. When you have, for the Ignawa, for instance, so many people attending, hundreds of thousands of people, and they know that before, the concert or before the festival of Ignawa, the perception of this part of ourselves as a Moroccan, of our society, they were perceived differently. And they do agree to attend with this kind of expectation to change their perception. And it works. For the Andalusia Atlantic, having in the same audience thousands of people, largely Muslims and Jews, we were, as I said, having maybe different opinions or different stories to tell. But you have this chemistry. At the very minute the concert starts, it's a different world, it's a different thing. It changes immediately, not by miracle, just by emotion. And it's the magic of the music. And I'm not saying that at the end of the concert everything is fixed, okay, and it's changed completely. But I have seen people coming year after year, and I have seen them changing, or at least addressing differently the challenge, and developing a kind of respect to listen to the others. And it works on both ways. And it helps a lot. So it is something which, regarding your question, it is something which is deeply rooted in our minds, in terms of emotion, in terms of historical references, in terms of humanity. Je ne sais pas si j'ai répondu à la question. I'm sorry, I have to manage with my very poor English to try to address something which is complex, but
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an important question for me.
Thank you.
There's a question.
Oh, okay. We have a drinks reception down, so why don't we have this one last question, and then we can all continue the conversation. After that, yes.
Thank you so much, so inspiring. As you talked, have you any spark, vision, possibility of this happening in Israel, Palestine, this sort of festival?
Yes, definitely yes. And it happens also.
It does happen.
Yeah. In our, Aida, it's for you too. In our next festival, Chamber Music Festival, we'll have musicians coming from Ramallah who will perform in our festival. And we'll have also you have heard about Daniel Boraimboum, Divan, which is a very beautiful philharmonia.
So where does it happen? Where does it take place?
In Essaouira, April 16 until April 19. And we are giving a chance to the Palestinian musician to perform in the front of a large audience, and also to Israelis. I have to say that they are peace activists also. They are good musicians, but they are peace fighters. You know, participating to the same festival. And every year, not only at the chamber music, but in the other festivals, Gnawa including, we have musicians from Palestine and from Israel attending. And it helps because when they are back at home, they have a different story to tell. It didn't solve the issue, but it helps. I see again for this tragic failure of peace a lot of potential through culture, at least to encourage people not to give up and to listen to the others, but telling the truth. Because when there are the two in the same audience, there are two narratives, not one, which is key to give a chance to the Israelis to listen to the Palestinian narrative and to the Palestinian to listen to the Israeli narrative. To open the gate, to open the way, to pave the way. And just on this point, for you to know that many of the musicians who came to Essaouira to attend, and for those Israelis, for instance, who took part, back in Israel, they created festivals with the same goal and the same vision. And for us, it's very, very rewarding to know that there is this continuity. Thank you.